I've read or worked with students on more than 10,000 college essays over the years, and in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 things that tend to not work as well and 5 things that tend to work a little better and that you can use for your own personal statement. How did I get to 10,000? I'm talking about the essays that I've read of students who I've worked with, that my team has worked with one-on-one. I'm talking about workshops that I've led. I'm talking about webinars that I've done, live sessions. I'm also talking about books and blogs. Oh, and I read for a scholarship once, so that's how I got to 10,000. Tip number 1, what tends to not work quite as well? Writing about a common extracurricular activity. And I'm talking about common sports, basketball, football, volleyball, common instruments, violin, piano, flute, common, debate, boys and girls club. Here's a list of common topics. And I'm not saying 100% don't write about these. I'm just saying that in the personal statement, I wouldn't recommend them as the main topic. I would put these things in your activities list and your supplemental essays. Why? Because guess what? We've already read the essay about how you worked really hard as a kid learning the violin and you remember the first time you picked it up and all that stuff. Like, we've read that path. The reader's really interested in what are the skills, qualities, values, and interests that you're bringing with you to a college campus. And there's so many other ways to brainstorm uncommon topics. I'll share with you some tips in a few minutes. Number 2, another thing that tends to not work quite as well is making your personal statement, aka your college essay, a highlight reel for all of your awesome activities. Because guess where those awesome activities should go? In your activities list. Think of that as your brag sheet. Think of your activities list as your proud mother who's like, and do you know what else he's done? And he's done this, and he's done this, and he's done this. And then let that be your activities list. And just so that you can be rest assured that activities list is speaking for you in your application, pro tip, create your activities list first before you even start brainstorming your personal statement. Number 3, a thing that tends to not work quite as well is the single moment essay where you're focusing on, and I don't know who gives this advice. I think well-meaning writerly English teachers sometimes give this advice. By the way, I love you. I loves you so much. I think I said loves you. But I feel like telling students to write on a single moment is so hard because number 1, it's hard to work in all of your skills, qualities, values, and interests to like the story about just eating cereal and coming to a realization about life. Number 2, it puts a lot of pressure on the ending. So if you're writing this essay and it's sort of like mundane at the start and we're kind of like, okay, I'm kind of interested in where this is going. And then you have to like have this incredible ending. It just puts a lot of pressure with this style. And the third thing is, in order to do like a mundane, focusing on a particular moment essay, it tends to be like, but you have to write it with incredible craft. And by craft, I mean like style, tone. It needs to really be like meticulously refined in order for it to really stand out. And that's just not where I want you to focus your energy. Because think about like on a spectrum, your college essay could be like very poetic or very informative. So there's like poetry and information. Most admission readers, if I ask them like, would you rather have a poetic or informative personal statement? They're gonna be like on the informative side. So how do you come up with a better topic? Brainstorm a bunch of your skills, qualities, values, and interests, and then ask yourself, what might connect some of these things? And I promise you, brainstorming exercise coming shortly. Number 4, the day in the life personal statement. Okay, I'm talking about those personal statements, God bless them, that are about like, I woke up in the morning and then I hit my alarm and I'm getting up early because I'm motivated. And then I go to school and I get there early and I like work hard in my classes. And then afterwards I'm going to like band and I'm going to my other extracurriculars. And guess who else does all of these things? Pretty much everybody applying to college. So these also are really hard to make, to work well. If you want to do it as a free write, just get the writerly juices flowing. That's a weird image, but great for a free write, really hard to make work well for an excellent stand-up personal statement. The other one, this is the 5th one, I wouldn't necessarily recommend writing about academic challenges like the C you got in physics. And by the way, that was me, I got a C in physics. Or changing schools, and I changed schools 13 times. Changing schools 13 times might actually make for an interesting personal statement. I'm talking about the one school that you changed and you like had to adapt and then it was hard at first, but then you actually did it. Why? Because 2 reasons. Number 1, these are like well-worn paths. We've read lots of essays on both of these things. And second, I think you're missing an opportunity to use your personal statement to show other sides of yourself. Because those 2 things, switching schools or getting a bad grade, can go in what's called your additional information section. Now, the additional information section is a separate part of your application where after your activities list and your personal statement and all of your supplemental essays, they're like, what else do you want to tell us? And then you can be like, oh, by the way, I got a C in physics, but here's what I did about it and here's what I learned through the experience. Or you can be like, oh, and I changed schools. Here's why I changed schools, what I did about it, what I learned. And you can do that in bullet points in like a few sentences, and then you can use the vast expanse of the canvas of your personal statement to talk about all kinds of other things. What else should your personal statement do? I'm talking about things like, 1, showing your personality, showing how fun and light-footed you are. Number 2, I'm talking about contextualizing things. So, Rad, you did do robotics competitions, and you did do give us the deeper, if that's the iceberg, give us what's underneath the surface. What interested you in those things? Give us some context. The third thing that I think a personal statement can do is give us your heart, the why. Because your activities list, it's going to be hard to get a lot of heart in there because they're so short, the descriptions. And same with the additional information section, that's kind of for information. But in terms of your bigger why, or how this has all shaped you and led you to be the amazing human that you are, that's what your personal statement's for. Number 6, brainstorm uncommon topics. A few ways to do this. First of all, when I say uncommon topics, I'm not talking about things like I said, common sports, instruments, extracurriculars. I'm talking about something that you love or know a lot about that maybe other people don't know so much about. So, past students that I've worked with have written about things like, skin, and how that's shaped different sides of them. Or escape rooms. You can find another video on that on my YouTube channel. Writing about something like, combining two things that may not go together. So maybe you know a lot about plants, as one student that I worked with did, and also you're interested in business. These two things do not go together. Great. That could make for a really interesting topic. So in the case of this particular student that I'm talking about, she wrote about how plants had led her to learn lots of life lessons that, by the way, are going to serve her in her future in business. Kind of an awesome ending, and it really made something really uncommon out of it. Because otherwise it's just an essay about why I want to go into business, or just an essay on things I love about plants, which by the way is already uncommon and kind of cool. My point here is that when you combine two things that you may not know a lot about, put those together and try to find a way to make them to work together, that can sometimes help you stand out. Other things that can help you stand out, and I'll share more exercises for this in just a minute, but writing about your different identities and how they've shaped who you are. So stand by and I'll show you more on how to do that in just a minute. There's a whole exercise for that I'll share in tip 10. Number 7, specificity matters. What do I mean? I'm not just talking about just random details. I'm talking about if you share that, for example, that you are organized, don't just say I'm organized. Take my word for it. I'm talking about, give me some specific details that show me that you're organized. So show me, for example, or tell me about your Google Calendar and how it's organized into all these different colors. Or tell me how you've Marie Kondoed your entire, not just your own closet, but also your family's closet. And give me the details of how you fold the shirts. Not all the details, I'm talking 1 or 2 sentences. Those specific details show me that you fully embrace and embody those values, and they're coming with you as you come to college. Number 8, the Common App personal statement prompt probably matters a little bit less than you think. Now, what am I talking about here? I'm not talking about supplemental essays. Those prompts really matter for individual schools. I'm talking about the personal statement, aka college essay, the thing on the Common App that you write once and send to multiple schools. Why? Well, when I'm reading an essay, I'm interested in the skills, qualities, values, and interests that you're bringing with you to a college campus. I don't care as much whether you picked prompt 1 or prompt 5. I rarely read an essay and I'm wait a minute, was this prompt 3 or was this prompt 5? I'm really looking for what are the skills, qualities, values, and interests that you're bringing with you to a college campus. But don't just take my word for it. Listen to what my friend, college admission officer Hillary Dickman at Colorado College said in an email to me recently. She said, when it comes to the personal statement, which prompt you choose doesn't mean much to me. In fact, I generally don't look at the prompt when I'm reading the personal statement. I just dive right into the essay. I want to know how you became who you are, what matters to you, how you show up in your community, and how you'll show up on our campus. Whatever prompt you choose is fine. Now again, side note, for supplemental essays like the why us or the why major or the diversity or the community essay, those prompts really do matter. And I'm sorry this is confusing. Welcome to college admission. I'm doing my best here to give you the resources, but yes, personal statement prompt doesn't matter as much. Supplemental essay prompts, yes, matter. Here's tip number 9. Not a bad idea to somewhere in your personal statement, or if not your personal statement, at least your application, to show some element of collaboration and relationship building. Why is this? So of all the essays that I've looked at, oftentimes I'll look at an essay or an application and I'll be like, there's something missing here. And I'm trying to figure out what is the thing that's missing. And I'm like, I don't have a sense of whether or not this student is going to play nicely with others, to put it one way. So remember that colleges are a community and they're trying to assemble a group of individuals that are going to work together to do awesome, amazing things on campus and afterwards. Remember, Colleges are putting together a community, so they want to know how will you contribute to that community based on your experiences, your background. In fact, many colleges in recent years have added a particular supplemental essay that asks, and sometimes people call this the diversity essay, based on your background, how will you contribute to our community? Now, quick tip for this. By the way, for those of you who are like, I am not that diverse, stay with me. Because tip number 10 is you are probably more diverse than you actually think. So what do I mean by this? Well, many students look at this prompt and they're like, I don't know, I look around at my peers, the other students in my high school, and we're kind of similar. And they might mean similar in terms of like, socioeconomic status or race or something like that. And this is flawed for two reasons. Number one, who you are in your high school, like your high school population, is probably not necessarily representative of all the students from everywhere in the US and everywhere in the world applying to this particular institution. So let's say, for example, your parents are immigrants coming to this country, and like many other students in your school have immigrant parents. That's not necessarily true nationally or globally, of the students applying to particular schools. The second thing, and this is really, really important, is that you probably haven't thought about all of the interesting, complex ways that all of your identities intersect and overlap. And if you're like, wait, what are those things and how do I find them out? I've got two exercises for you. So number one, we'll link it below, is called the identities exercise. And it basically takes about 5 minutes for you to think about all the different ways that you identify. And the next one's called the If You Really, Really Knew Me exercise. And it takes at least half an hour, I'd say, but longer is ideal, where you can start to think about all the different influences that have impacted your life. And if you do both of those exercises, and by the way, these are the exercises that my team and I actually legit use with students when we're working one-on-one. And if you're interested in that, I'll link below in this video. But if you do these exercises, you're gonna have tons and tons of stuff to write about that are gonna help you go beyond that debate essay or that violin essay, etc. Hope you found this useful. By the way, side note, if you're interested in one-on-one help and you can't afford one-on-one support, we've also got support for low-income students. It's called our Match Letters program. Link below. Let me summarize all of this with the screenshot. Take a screenshot of this if you want, put it in your back pocket or wherever you keep your screenshots. You'll find lots more at collegeessayguy.com. Links below. Love you all. See you soon. Bye.